anti-trafficking organization specifically based on something that happened to your sister in the music industry. Is this a common practice in the music industry?
Yeah, unfortunately, and thank you for having me on. Unfortunately, it's common practice in our culture today. You know, sex trafficking is rampant in the United States, both domestic and international sex trafficking. You know, in this case, like in my sister's case, the music industry is involved. There are many, many people involved here. Many were at the freak parties. You know, if we go back historically, we need to look at record label executives that funded some of these endeavors. And then we know that at times there may or may not have been minors involved. And when you get to force, fraud, coercion with minors, you do not have to prove force, fraud, and coercion if minors are involved. It's 18 and over. So it's interesting to see if prosecution is going to dive into, you know, the world of whether minors were ever involved. And then plaintiffs coming forward, more plaintiffs coming forward. And to Molly's point, it could be the straw that breaks the camel's back here. It's building a case. You've got that video. He's admitting, look, that's me in the video. And then you start building the case like we saw with Virginia Giuffre in the Epstein case. So let's see if other plaintiffs come forward. But I'm particularly interested to know whether minors were present when there was trafficking involved, because that is a game changer.
Let me play another piece of his lawyer today, insisting that he's innocent, basically laying out what the defense is going to be. This is number 5.
There's no coercion, there's no crime. There's basically just, you know, someone who brought a civil case and now is finding themselves as a witness in a criminal case. And we're going to fight this case with everything we have, as is he, and eventually he's going to be shown to be innocent.
Molly, it sounds like the defense is no coercion, right?
That is a defense.
Yep.
So the way this indictment has charged the crime, there's no sex trafficking of minors alleged. So it's different than what we saw happen to R. Kelly in federal court, right? What we have to have the prosecutors prove beyond a reasonable doubt is that there was specifically sex trafficking done through force, through violence, through coercion. And so if you have people willfully participating in these freak-offs, you don't have a federal crime.
Yeah, and Jaku, I assume that is typically what you see as a defense in these kinds of cases, is they always say, well, you know, they did it on their own.
Yeah, look, that's the difficult part of the law, 17 under, 18 over. You have to prove force, fraud, and coercion, and you need plaintiffs. And you know, this is going to be a case where we'll see, are other plaintiffs going to come forward? Are they going to say, look, I was drugged, you know, I have evidence? Remember, sex trafficking victims do not self-identify. They do not just walk out in the street and say, hey, I've been trafficked. This is a crime that exploits a person emotionally, physically, mentally. Unless they believe that justice will be at hand, which seldom happens if they're over 18, seldom, they don't come forward. Hopefully, if there are other plaintiffs, that they will come forward. And again, it needs to be corroborated. It has to be investigated. And they'll have to prove force, fraud, and coercion. But I think this cookie is going to crumble a little different than some of the other cases we've seen.
Jaku Booyens and Molly Parmer, thank you both. Appreciate it.
360 News, your complete view of the world. Global headlines. Here is some interesting news trending around the world today. Anthony Glenn Busby, an American attorney, representing 120 accusers of Sean Diddy Combs for alleged sexual misconduct in a press conference on October 1, 2024, said, "People wanting to break into the industry were coerced into this type of conduct in the promise of being made a star, or the promise of having Sean Combs listen to their tape or even let them read for Sean Combs." Busby's youngest client said he was 9 years old when he was sexually assaulted by Combs. This individual was sexually abused, allegedly by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio, in the promise to both his parents and him of getting a record deal, Busby explained. Another individual, 26 at the time of the occurrence, was picked up allegedly by Mr. Combs and several other people in a black SUV from the airport, was given one drink in the SUV, and then literally woke up the next day not knowing what had happened, but with pain and damage to both her vagina and her anus, Busby explained. Clients expressed that when they reached out afterward, they were told not to say anything and were sometimes threatened with physical or financial harm. You should know that some of these behaviors occurred in well-known venues in New York City and at private residences of people that we all know. Some of these behaviors occurred in hotels we are all familiar with. In addition to accusing Combs of taking part in the assaults, Busby said there are a number of others, high-profile people, banks, hotels, and pharmaceutical companies that will be listed as defendants. These corporate entities ultimately profited off of this culture and behavior. I know that many of these corporate entities were paid in cash. We know that many of these individuals were paid cash. We know that many of these individuals involved, whether they were the ones being assaulted and abused, or they were witnessing other people being assaulted and abused, and then paid, threatened, and told to leave. Typically paid 10 grand in cash and told to leave. And then threatened as they were leaving. I would imagine as we speak here, there are myriads of people who are very nervous. You can't hide skeletons in the closet forever. I would expect there are many people out there, right now, who are desperately searching their memories as they delete their text and data. Busby said they have received pictures, videos, and texts from the clients they have accepted to corroborate their stories. Some of them have already spoken to the FBI, and he said others might move forward depending on their comfort level. More than 55% of the victims filed reports. Reported this conduct to either the authorities, that's the police, or to hospitals. Busby intends to start filing civil suits against Combs alleging violence, sexual assault or rape, sexual abuse, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, dissemination of video recordings, and sexual abuse of minors. He said they plan to go after people who engaged in the conduct, witnessed it, and did nothing to stop it, facilitated it, and anyone who helped cover it up. He said those individuals and entities will shock you. Now I know this. Many of you came here thinking and hoping, perhaps, believing that I may start naming names. That day would come, but it won't be today. The day will come when we name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names, Busby said. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are. Because of the nature of this case, we are going to make damn sure that we are right before we do that. They already know who they are, and I am talking here about not just the cowardly or complicit bystander. There are those people we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing to report or stop it. And I am talking about the people who participated, encouraged it, urged it on. They know who they are. I call them the facilitators of foul play. Willing participants of vile conduct. As we identify them, each will be part of this case as defendants. These people who know who they are should just come forward. Busby plans to start filing the suits in the next 30 days. He said this will not be a class action lawsuit. Each case will be filed individually, primarily in New York and California. Each case will live and die on its own merit. Combs' lawyer, Erica Wolf, issued a statement following the news conference saying, as Mr. Combs' legal team has emphasized, he cannot address every meritless allegation in what has become a reckless media circus. That said, Mr. Combs emphatically and categorically denies as false and defamatory any claim that he sexually abused anyone, including minors. He looks forward to proving his innocence and vindicating himself in court, where the truth will be established based on evidence, not speculation.
Are you looking for entertaining and educational content to watch? Subscribe to our YouTube channel today for a variety of interesting videos on topics you love. Join our growing community and never miss out on new uploads. Hit the subscribe button now. Discover new ways to learn and be entertained by subscribing to our YouTube channel. Engage with like-minded viewers and stay updated on our latest videos. Don't miss out. Click the subscribe button and be part of our exciting YouTube community.